you're going to get it. Then we'll talk about variations of how you approach the wall. But the main thing is, to start out for a natural hook, you should take the ball, throw it 1 arm's distance away. So you have to hit it off the thumb. If the ball is in close, you may hit it this way, that way, but if it's 1 arm's distance away, you have to hit off the thumb. And what you do is, you swing your body around. The left shoulder goes underneath your chin. You rotate your body. I haven't moved my hand yet. And when I get contact with the ball, my wrist is still cocked. And then I slide it off the thumb, out this way. Most people, they get to the ball and their wrist is straight already because they're using arm. I use body up to it and then release it. Another good idea would be is as it's moving forward, the elbow and the knee should be moving together. Then you know you got perfect rhythm and you're not wasting energy. For the reverse, instead of having your arm up and striking the ball down, now we're going to reverse the hand motion and cock the wrist, the hand backwards. Before we had it this way, coming down, now we're going to come up. So you spread your fingers, not tightly. The tighter you grip your fingers are pressing, it puts tension on and doesn't let the ball move by itself. So you relax your hand, cock your hand back, and it's the same. Instead of ball being a distance away, now you want it close to you. And what we're going to do is, with our fingers, we're going to massage the outside of the ball. And it's the same idea. Wrist stays back, elbow and knee are moving forward, get to the ball, and then you're going to spin around. I was thinking about it. That's the way they teach you how to hit that reverse hook. I said, if you could cover more ball, wouldn't there be more hook? So I came up with a new idea. Instead of just coming around, I'd come up on the ball and get extra covering on the ball, and the hook would break even more.
We'll move in the center. I'm just so pleased tonight to join my 2 brothers who have always been, to my way of looking at it, great brothers. As a young kid, they never said, get out of here. I was always part of their team. We always played handball together. It's probably one of the most important things that ever happened to us because we never had to look for somebody else in order to get a workout. We'd always go together to the little park in the Bronx, St. Mary's Park, and later on to Crotona Park, playing against adults. We'd shovel snow in the wintertime and play barehanded. But the one thing that always stays still to this day, fresh in my mind, is a degree of kindliness that they always showed to me as the younger brother, and also the sportsmanship that I learned from both of them. A few minutes ago, Carl showed you $1 million lesson. People today don't hook the ball, hop the ball, whatever you want to say. That technique has been lost, but he was the prime exponent of it in his day. Not only on the 1-wall court, the 3-wall court, and the 4-wall court. That's like taking one technique and being versatile in many different aspects of this one great sport. So we're standing here in the Hall of Trophies, as it were, our Hall of Fame room at the New York AC. We've spent many, many years here in clinics, in tournaments, and the like. We've had many happy times here. We've met some wonderful people, and it is indeed a privilege to be here tonight, not only with my brothers, but with Matthew Paris and his young son Noah. He's been very quiet on the sidelines there, allowing us to do this great work. In a few seconds, we're going to take his picture and a picture of Matthew as a reward for the great work that they've done. Matthew, as always, has a question.
Yeah. How do you conceal the way that the hook is going? How do you?
Okay. The real way to do it is, when you throw the hook, the ball is here, your body is here, and your opponent is behind here. In other words, you come around, and that's the motion of the body. so you can conceal that the ball is here, your body is here. And in this stage is where you change it.
Ah.
Many times people start up like this, and when they get down here, they follow through, and people can read the hook. I would start up like that, and when it got to here, throw the reverse. If it was Vic Herskowitz, I started like this, knowing he knows I'd read it, that he's going to read it. I'd follow through with the natural, because I knew he would read me changing.
Now, how would you learn from Vic Herskowitz? Would he talk to you? Would he show you things?
Well, again, we actually learned the hook from a young man. His brother was a great member here, Frankie Munch. He was the first one who had hooks. I was very thin. I couldn't hit the ball like Oscar or Rube. They were strong. So I found out my option was hooks were good. So I tried to learn as much about hooks. And then each time you learn a little bit more about direction, faking out, like in basketball, they're always going off balance.
Right.
In handball, you can go off balance also. They think you're going to the natural and you throw the reverse. But you have to create those ideas. And that's what we try to do, is create.
That applies too when you're playing. Everybody figures that once the ball is hit in a certain direction, that you have to hit it in that direction. It doesn't hold true. Once you feel your opponent is going one way, you can always acclimate your body to go one way and your hand go the other way. See? Now, in theory it works. In practice, it works even better. Now, everybody, when we play and we give exhibitions behind the back, between the legs and like that, it's not being applied, it's only being applied to us. We tell everybody else, don't do it, because you can seriously hurt yourself.
We just want to show them that anything is possible. Opposite hand, backhanded, we play thousands of games. You could practice it. Throw a reverse hook with your opposite hand, backhanded. They said it couldn't be done, so I did it, because they said it couldn't be done. And that's what you have to keep on doing. But always watch great players. You're not going to be a two-handed hitter like Oscar, but you could learn his intensity of wanting to win and trying his best getting to the ball. From Rube, he has a different type of game. Power game, back and forth, get you out of position. He was a positional player. Oscar was the shooter. I was tried to be a little of both of them. Not as hard-headed as Oscar, but I have a rule. Like I used to play a lot of chess, and in chess they say, the champion chess players say, there's only one move, the right move. And also, in handball, you have to examine what you've been doing, and if it's working, that was the right move. And even though the game may be very close, you don't change it. If you see the opening, you take it, just like in chess. And that applied in 1970 when we played on the 16-point. There was a volley, a sailing shot going to the back wall. Everybody else would have played safe. And I remember the chess move. And I took side wall front and I rolled out a kill. And anybody else would have played safe. But I remember that rule. And everybody should practice, get good rules in their head, good ideas in their head, and then apply them.
You know, we look like we're still in pretty great shape, right, Matthew?
Yes.
I'm going to ask Oscar what role he thinks conditioning plays in becoming and staying a champion.
Well, look at it two ways. When you're young, you're strong, you practice makes perfect. Now, you could have a perfect game in your mind. Now when you go into competition, players are better. Now you have to understand your body can only take so much. Now, how much can your body take? You're playing singles and doubles. You're playing the best 2 out of 3. You're playing anywhere from 5 to 6 games a day. And you may come back after the singles 2 hours later. You may come back an hour later to play. And each day you play. Now you say to yourself, how much can your body take? Well, your body can take a lot. But you have to understand, it's what's up here that counts. See? Now you can be as tired as a dog. You go into competition in the finals. And the one thing you say to yourself, I'm not tired. You know why? It's mind over matter. If you have no mind, it doesn't matter. And apply that, because basically when a guy plays and he's tired, the first thing he does is walk off the court in four-wall to get fresh air. Now you figure there's a lot of spectators up there smoking cigars, cigarettes. What you want is the air on the court, because basically when you go out, you get fresh air. The minute the man goes out for fresh air, he comes back again, he feels like he's great, balls hit around, and all of a sudden he's sitting down. He's tired. Yes, it happens.
You have to be conditioned. Like in Mexico, they say stay there for 2 days before you start running, so you get acclimated to the climate, and you'll run better. The boxers also, when they went to fight in Zaire,
Right.
they had to go a few days ahead of time to get acclimated.
If you can have a strong body and a weak mind, but if you have both, a strong body and a strong mind, that's what makes the game. The brain tells your arms what to do, because if you just go haphazard like this here, you're not listening to your brain. Now, in four-wall especially, the ball has to be, about 2 inches off the ground, coming off the back wall, in order for you to make a shot. If you take the ball up here and you go for the shot, that's a waste.
It's a low percentage shot.
Because you're not going to do anything. Now, great players that I've played, you can't anticipate ahead of time what's going to happen. You have to wait. And at the right time, you got to make your move. Now, we referred to a fellow named Johnny Sloan. Off the back wall, he was deadly. And he waited till the ball was this much off the ground, and then he started going into play. Now, with that same shot off the back wall, you can make 5 different moves, depending where your opponent is. You can hit the ball straight to the right side. You can hit it to your left side. You can hit it around the walls. You can hit it up on the ceiling. But you only got one chance to think of what you're going to do. If you start taking your time to think, forget about it. You just lost the game. Now, in theory, as Carl says, well, when the ball comes, make the shot. Sometimes it holds true in the beginning. Now, towards the end, when you start missing, you're not going to keep going for the same shot. You got to do something different. Now, it doesn't have to be a power move. As long as you get that ball back to the front wall, you're in the game. If you don't get the ball back to the front wall, forget about it.
Well, again, the basic theory is whoever controls the short line is controlling the game. The second theory that we came up with, that if you're playing 100% physical, that the man is working you over. We think the game should be 80% mental and 20% physical. You should be able to anticipate, so you don't have to be physical. You should be able to see what's happening in the game, so you don't have to be a physical player. If he's working you physically, that means mentally you're not up to his level.
Okay, I have the feeling, I've seen you both play on tape, and I've seen Ruby play a lot just live. Seems to me that Ruby changes his game a lot to the player, and you two guys speak.
No. We changed it. We asked this question to a lot of players: how do you win a game? And they tell me about, well, I hook the ball, and I like going on a fly kill. I like running the man. I said, you don't know how to win a game. This is the way a smart man wins a game. It's your offense versus my offense. If I think I could win that game, I get it going. Your offense versus my defense. If I think I could win that game, I'll get it going. Your defense versus my defense. If I think I could win that game, I'm going to get it going. Your offense versus my defense. If I think I could win that game, I'm going to get it going. And sometimes I wouldn't use one hook. I wouldn't go for one kill. I'd let the opponent commit errors. If he was a poor shooter, I'd give him setups. And if he had a low percentage shot, which we always believe in percentage playing, he'd make 2 out of 8. He's a 25% player. 3 out of 5, 60% player. And that's how we used to total it up. And we'd see, I've fed setups. In the national finals, I went to Rube one time, I'm feeding him a setup, and the man blew the shot. So that's how you have to think. What's really happening? not we just missed it. Oh, that looked good, but you missed. Tell it the way it is. And if you total it up after a while, you'll know why you won. Even if you lost the game. If you know why you lost the game, then for the next 20 years of playing, 30 years of playing, you're never going to fall into that trap again.
Okay, could I ask you guys, is there something very different about an athlete, the ferocity, the pursuit of excellence, that sets you apart off the court as well as on the court from everybody else?
Well, again, we have sole purpose. We're all winning for each other. That's number one. Number two, the club itself expects the trophies, the trophy room. Like Joe Ingracia, who was a good friend of ours, he would say, first place. And you know what we say? First place. And we felt it, that for our own self-respect, we wanted first place. And it gave us added pleasure that the people at the New York Athletic Club, they appreciate first place winners. And it made a nice marriage between a player and a great club.
See,
and that's what we have.
Nowadays, when you talk about handball, nobody wants to know about handball anymore. Now it's either football, baseball, basketball, where there's money involved. If you become great, you can make a lot of money. Now, in the sport of handball, you know, 1 wall, 3 wall, and 4 wall. 1 wall is what I consider the greatest. Now, if you got frustrations, where do you take it out? Well, there's a thing called the ball. And you go in there and you beat the hell out of that damn thing, and your mind is oblivious from everything else. Now, if you start thinking and just sitting there and brooding, like sitting on a bar and keep on drinking, that's not going to get you anywhere. You take your bag, your gloves, your sneakers, you come up here, and you beat the hell out of the ball. You don't have to play anybody. Just take the ball and murder it.
It's a good
Get yourself a workout, take a shower, go down, and you're happy. All right? Now, the game itself is mentally and physically, you got to adapt to it. Now, when you're playing with the ball, you're not thinking about it. You're saying, I got to make this shot, and that's the way it is. If you start taking all your troubles and sitting there and just brooding over it, forget about it. So the outlet is a ball, relax the mind, physically and mentally, you're fit.
And you come back strong. It's an outlet. But again, Rube is going around to all the high schools and teaching handball to kids. Wherever I go, we teach people. Inside the last 3 weeks, I had about 15 people would come up and ask, Carl, how about this? Carl, about that? To put new interest into handball. Handball is a great game. You have to be in great shape to be a handball player. The other people play racquetball and that. Anyone can learn racquetball right away.
Do you think
But
that
to play handball, it takes good coordination. Small little hand has to hit it, no big giant racket. And if your timing is off a little, you're out.
See, when you play racquetball, you got a handicap because you have a racket. Now, the whole basic idea is that you can get to the ball faster. Now, when you use your hand and the racket, you use it in one motion, right? Which you think you'll expect more power from it. Now, if I told you that's a farce, because when you're playing, you take a ball off the back wall, or you take the ball from the front wall point of view, and you hit it. The wrist is what makes the power. It's like in highlight, you got to zest it. Now, if you don't control that zester the right way, you won't get any power and the ball will fall right down. Now, in handball, the same thing. You adapt your body in one complete motion. And that's where, at the last moment, your wrist does the job. Applies the same thing in bowling. If you don't have, you can have plenty of speed, but if you don't have the body control, the ball will go right into the goal.
See, the reason why people say handball is a great game, because you can change the speeds continuously without them knowing, like Whitey Ford. It looks like the same thing is happening, and all of a sudden the ball is going in all different directions. It's taking hops. You can control the game much better. You can make the ball almost stop. Where a racquetball, you have to keep on hitting and hitting. and they're just pounding away. The real top of the sports, they can kill every ball, but it's more hitting, not as much finesse. With two hands, you have to have two hands with finesse, and you have to think it out. Nothing is going to help you except yourself. You have to get out there and do it.
The greatest player that ever played was a man that lost, but sat down and figured out why he lost. That's greatness. And to come back, as Carl said before, I was a one-wall king. The man I played was the four-wall king. And I went in with my own ability, and I wound up with 21-1 and 21-3 that he beat me. And I says, I'm going to take my gloves, I'm not going to go play four-wall. As a one-wall king, you figure you got to make some points in a four-wall court. It didn't happen. I was going to take my gloves, throw them away, and don't go back into four-wall, stay with my one-wall. And I was thinking about that. I said, well, how did this guy beat me by that score? Well, naturally, like I said before, a one-wall player plays one-wall. A four-wall player plays four-wall. If the four-wall player gets you into his game, you don't stand a chance. Now take a four-wall player and put him in a one-wall court, he wouldn't stand a chance.
The thing is, he adapted and had the desire to win and show he could do it.
A lot of practice. You have to go down and play two guys by yourself. And each of the two men that you play have to play as if you're playing double.
When Oscar was 17, he used to give 19-point spot out of 21 at 17. Then a hustler came along and blocked them out and showed them a little more finer techniques of what handball was. At that time, he was kill, kill, kill. But he adapted to learn a little bit more about strategy. Each time we talk about this happened here, did you see it this way? What? And then we figure out a game plan for the next time. And there's always a next time. You just have to think that way.
Could I ask you guys, has the game changed? Has the strategy changed at all? Or the abilities of the players changed at all from the late 50s and 60s when you guys played?
I thought years ago the people were more hungrier players. That was the only outlet, and they ate, slept, drank handball till the end. Today, a lot of the players, they want to be bowlers, they want to go skiing, they want to do 10 different things. But the players today, they keep in top shape. But years back, I thought the players studied the game much more.
I thought there was more finesse and change of pace and greater use of hop serve, the way Carl was the master of.
Today they just want power. Go for broke, we call it. If I'm on, I win. If I'm out, I lose.
You got to understand too. When we play with a little black ball, and that was hard as a rock. Now they got a blue ball that's softer.
It's not quite as hard, right?
That's right.
So they don't.
Now they say it's because your hands get sore and everything else like that. Now when we're playing out in the snow with this ball, and a man came with a hypodermic needle, and he put air into it, made the ball bounce a little bit better. And I remember one day the guy came with 8 balls, and he hopped them up, and every time he hopped one ball up, I broke it. Hopped the next one up, I broke it.
He could hit a ball.
Now, if I told you the black ball that we use, I could split it in half, you wouldn't believe it. But it's true.
He could hit a ball. He loved it.
Nowadays, players play with power, but they don't play with up here. And the reason they play with power, because when the man serves you power, you return power. If anybody would serve the ball easy to these guys, they'd have to think. And once they start thinking, they don't know what to do.
In other words, you change the pace.
All right?
In fact, even when we were getting much older and they were getting young, the younger players were getting tuned in and with finesse and everything, we'd still win because we would think about how to change the game around with the concept defense versus defense, offense versus defense. They don't even know that. I talk to the top players today and I tell them, they ask me about some theories that I come up with. They look at me like I'm crazy. And then they come back later and say, hey, you're right. I've been wasting all my time. Because once you play your game and the man figures it out, where do you go to next? But if you have a game plan of 4 or 5 different plans like we did, and ready to change it at a moment's notice when it wasn't going that way. And then maybe even going back to it later on, we were ready to do it. Today they go in with one game plan. If it doesn't work,
See, what
They
happened
lose.
now, when we're talking about the players of today, years ago there were players that were great. And in order for you to play against them, you got beat all the time. Now you had to keep on learning, but you still wanted to play these players. I don't know if we talked before about I think it's 16 people, 16 men who are in the pros. And they get X amount of dollars for winning the pro stops. Now they play amongst each other all the time, which means they can know each other's game. When we went in, we didn't know anything. These were top players. You got beat, you got beat. Then you had to figure out how to beat these guys, what to do, how to change your attitude and your style. Watch them from up there, who they're playing. See what their mistakes.
today a lot of the strategy they have is
But they don't have it.
the hard work of people like Vic Hershkowitz, Moe Ornstein, Johnny Sloan, who thought about the game and maneuvered the game around to a thinking game.
Ornstein is almost never talked about. How had you seen him play? How would you describe him?
Oh, he was, well,
Well, we're not going to say what he was.
again,
Because that would be right.
he would try every trick in the book to win, and he was a very talented man. He didn't have to do that, but it was instinct. Somebody had said that whenever he went to play, he was betting, and it was either he was gonna, if he didn't win, he didn't eat. It was life or death. He had to win, and that's the reason why he was that way. But the man had great anticipation. We learned from him. His anticipation. Another fellow was Ray Kravitz, desired to win. So what you have to do is, everywhere you go, pick up one idea and try and incorporate it into your game plan.
There's still a lot of money that goes down on these big games, isn't there? Particularly in one wall, there's a lot of betting, a lot of people around who are there to bet, apropos of Moe Ornstein.
Yeah. Well, again,
Well,
in any sport, there's betting. People don't know it. The football game, there was 40 million bet. And everybody says betting is illegal. So again, that's all part of it. But the money isn't the thing that motivated the players to be great players. There were a few, they needed the money to live. But most of the players, the other players like we did, we had jobs, went to college at night.
Right.
You had to develop. But some only stayed with that. I had one fella, he said, I'm never going to be anything in life, so I'm going to play handball because that I love and that's what I know best. He says, I don't want to go back to school to learn a trade or something like that. And he did. He didn't do great, but he enjoyed himself for what he wanted to enjoy.
Matthew, the hour is late, and what I want to do is just sum up by having Noah come over here. Noah, this is Noah, Matthew Parris's son, who's taking these wonderful pictures. And I want him to be part of this picture. Will you get us all? And in the great tradition of the New York Athletic Club, as 3 champions, we want to welcome Noah
Look here.
as a future champion.
look at Daddy. Look up.
As a future champion. And as we just sort of go aside here, it's appropriate that there's a picture on this wall of the New York Athletic Club champions of 1873. And if you look close, you could probably see some of the eyes and the moves of the champions of the past, which have come down through the Obert brothers and ultimately will be carried on by Noah Parris. So thank you for being with us at the New York Athletic Club. It's been a great joy, and we're going to do some more of this as time passes by, and we hope that you had fun. And good night.